hero.
Have you any hobbies?
My hobbies are fast cars and fast women.
Hobbies are healthy. They teach you things.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday. You know what that means? It means it's time for Around the UFL, and we got a big week for you. We got all sorts of things happening, and as you can see, I'm not wearing my ref shirt. I'm not so happy about that. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll get into that as we get around the panel here. I don't know how to feel about this week, so we're just going to go right into it. Zachy boy, I'm sure you're feeling great. I'm sure you're feeling fine. I'm sure you're feeling like you just clicked the bell and got some morale. Or are you frozen? Is that frozen? Ducky walks away. God, all right. Thorn, how you? Oh, Ducky's here. Ducky, how are you feeling this weekend?
Good. Zach is frozen, by the way.
At first, I wasn't sure if he was messing with me. And then I was like, no.
Zach froze just like the
there
clock
he
did
goes.
at 1 second for his team this weekend. So
I said, oh, and then all of a sudden realized when all 6 of the screens are frozen. I know exactly whose problem it is at that point.
That's a good point. Now we do know who froze the clock during the game this weekend for the Michigan Panthers. As I was saying, you're probably feeling pretty good. Opposite of me, ref's law, stupid ref's law. How you feeling, Zachy boy?
I'm going to come out and say it because I'm feeling this way today. It was the right call on the field, Arlington fans. Sorry, pal. Bye-bye. You missed out on your chance to win. Should have closed out when you had a shot earlier in the second half. But look, great win. Bryce MVP Perkins is currently guiding this team very well and, help cap off what was a fun week of football overall once again. Later end of the season for the UFL, man. It always gets better as the spring leagues go on during later halves of the year, and we're seeing the best of the best right now.
Only get better depends on what your team is. Ducky, how you feeling?
I mean, I'm knowing that the league is allowing to just give teams an extra play now, just for the hell of it.
Totally.
I'm okay with how the season's going. Just knowing that none of it's legitimate anymore. So.
Well, we'll keep on moving. Mr. Thorne, how are you doing today? It's very on and off as we move through the panel, it feels like.
Yeah, I don't know how to follow that. I'm doing great. I mean, I'm a DC fan, so, this is a great weekend for me. I think we saw generally, the wheat separate from the chaff this week, where suddenly this playoff picture that was looking really murky a week ago suddenly looks like pretty cut and dry. We'll see if, something surprising happens this week, but there's a chance that every playoff spot's locked up with 2 weeks to go somehow, despite it looking like that would have never been the case 2 weeks ago. But yeah, all in all, it's still made for a good weekend of football, though.
Mr. Larson, so we were just talking about your driving adventures. The police thought you were suspicious. They locked you up. You got free.
They were
you
like,
lost your wallet.
You actually went to a Showboats game? Like, are you nuts?
Well, I'm glad you made it back. I'm glad you're here for this Monday night
Me too.
live with Around the UFL. How was your experience this weekend? Good, other than the drive back?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I'm hurting a little bit with less than 3 hours of sleep, but, that just means I'm going to be a bit unhinged today, and I think people enjoy when I'm unhinged, so it'll be good. But, yeah, Memphis is always a fun time. I'm a little upset because I couldn't get any barbecue because the places I tried to go Saturday night all had like a 45, 50-minute wait, and I was like, it's just not – I'm not waiting that long. I'm sorry.
Did you get a
But, yeah,
Uber
no, it was
by
great.
chance?
Fun atmosphere. The game itself was cool because you had a bunch of Battlehawk fans out there, so that was like really interesting. Is like at least half the fans there felt like they were St. Louis fans.
Yeah. Well, it's what, like a 3.5 hour drive, something like that from St. Louis there. So nice to see that they're traveling. And they got to see their team pull out another win. Mr. Jake, I'm sure you're feeling pretty good as well this weekend. We really did go on, off. Although, James, yours is not horrible, but you did have, the driving situation in between. But I'm sure you're feeling pretty good, celebrating with some bourbon, whiskey. What do you got?
Yeah, bourbon. Just actually some Gym 7. Cheap. Not too bad, though. No, not surprised at all that Ohio and Texas educations fail the masses, don't know how clocks work, but that's okay.
I mean,
I think that's a good
I saw
point.
the clock hit 000. You can't tell me it didn't.
And I think if we time up the screenshots, the timeout signal was called, obviously, before the zero. So just going to lean into that one.
Yeah, because the broadcast clocks are always 100% accurate. We know that they're infallible.
I hate to disagree with Ducky.
Disagree.
I hate to disagree with Ducky here, only because wait till we get to the power rankings. You out-me'd me. I looked at that and said, why didn't I do that? But I don't know. Maybe the broadcast clock was off. I'll give him that. But
I say
at
Stoop
least from the
Schmoops
replay,
to James there.
Say that.
Stoop Schmoops.
Oh,
Man's
yeah.
been missing on some stuff in the last few
Yeah,
years anyway.
you-
So
Did you have a chance to ask him about that in the post-game press conference?
Yeah, I mean, he was just like he doesn't understand how Bryce could run around for that long and it only took 6 seconds off the clock. He's like, I've never seen that before in my coaching career. But I mean, look, frustrations were high for Arlington, obviously, to lose a game like that again to the Panthers. Remember, they did the same thing last year where they had just some stupid mistakes down the stretch, some mental miscues and errors, even though he kind of denied that after the game. But anyway, that's another story. That's two back-to-back really brutal losses for Arlington.
So what other moments throughout the weekend we can talk about the Roughnecks? I mean, first half Roughnecks, man, they had me. I thought I was gonna win this bet. I said, I'm not spending any money. I don't need to wear no jersey. And then the second half, refs law coming back from the grave. I'm telling you, I think it's like a 3-strike rule. We thought it was dead after 1. Nope, it came back. We thought it was dead after 2. Nope, it came back. We need a third one. Now, next week's a given. Next week's a given refs law because Michigan versus Houston. So it's guaranteed to be a refs law game. I'm hoping to win that. We need to win that. This game, this jersey, I'm so angry about this because we went from halftime being like, wow, 3-way tie for number 1 spot is actually could be a reality, right, at halftime. And then watching that all flushed down the drain. And this is why I don't even blame the Roughnecks. The Stallions are that good. The Stallions, you cannot count out the Stallions. You just can't. You cannot. Time and time and time again, every time you think they're out, they come back and what do? They win the championship. Even this season, everybody, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about this later when Jace jumps on, but even this season, everybody's so worried that they're, oh my God, the Stallions aren't good anymore. They only have 2 losses. And there's only 3 more weeks left of the season. They could potentially end the season with 2 losses, and then it was all for nothing. All of the worry was for nothing until you get to the playoffs.
Is Bama Boy in the room there with like a gun, or like is he over there trying to make you say things, or what's going on here?
I mean,
Where'd
I
you
got
even
humbled.
get that jersey?
What's that?
Where'd you even get that jersey from?
I got a Jersey guy. No, I got it from China.
Oh. I meant like, when did you
Overnight
get it? Because
shipping?
obviously you didn't just order it.
No,
through all the tariffs.
I got connections. Me and my peeps. We got on the
Overnighted it
phone.
from China.
Yeah, they got it.
Really?
Put it on Air Force 2. Wasn't
That's
important
why
enough
you're
for
not
Air
paying
Force
us.
One.
My connection's DH Gate. Sounds like a very similar guy.
Yeah, it those are his initials. I can't disclose what the D and the H stand for. I might not know either.
DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
We have a quick super chat as always. Lucia Medina, appreciate you once again chipping in here. Appreciate it. Atlanta Roughnecks or Houston Falcons?
I mean, neither, because here's the thing. The Roughnecks did the impossible. Again, they went toe-to-toe with the back-to-back-to-back champions. And up until the final few minutes of that game, man, it was the Roughnecks all day. But you know what? We can't win them all. We're still here. We still have a chance. Next week is
possible.
a big game. Next
Never
week's
know.
a big game. Knocking Michigan down a pedestal is going to be huge for us.
It's not a big game. It is do or die. Like there is, that's it. There's
Elimination
no
chamber.
situation. Yeah, you have no shot if you can't pull it off.
Ref,
Or
you're gonna
pull
need
it
to
off.
slip Mike
it's
Nolan
just-
a 20 or something, get him to start Danny Etling. Or
Won't even
I
have
even
to
need
do
to.
that. The
Gotta
team
make
will
something
fall
happen.
apart.
I don't think
The
he wants
Houston
to.
Roughnecks aren't in the Battlehawks way, so you've got a clear chance on winning.
We'll see. We will see. I don't know. But I will say this. We're still 300 times better than we were last year at this point, with an opportunity to be, 600 times better? There's 303 games left? Yeah. So,
I mean, I will say, I feel like a lot of us were kind of expecting Memphis to be the team that would be pushing, with Michigan or whoever to be like the second seed.
We did.
And it turned out to be Houston. So I will say, they definitely have exceeded expectations this year. There's still a lot of good to take from that loss against Birmingham. They did a lot of really, really good things. They just didn't do them for the whole game, and that's why they blew the lead and lost. Jamar Smith turning back the clock was really something. I know we're going to have to definitely talk more about this with Jace when he jumps on here, but it's 2025, and Jamar Smith led a game-winning drive in the UFL. What? How in the heck?
I knew it was over
The
for me.
storylines have been unreal. We've got Jamar Smith leading comeback drives. We've got Case Cook as a Stallions quarterback throwing deep passes to Marlon Williams. I remember those two battling it out in the championship 3 years ago. It's just it really was a wild weekend of storylines when it comes to full circle moments in spring ball.
right on. What other moments stick out to everybody over the weekend? I'm sure there's some other ones from...
Get Jaron Horton some help, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another good season for that defense, just kind of going down the drain. It feels really similar to the Maulers from a few years ago, but this time they're in such a good division. It's not like they have much of a chance now.
I will say, especially I think the comparison point for Memphis was always, okay, where were they at this time last year versus this time this year? And they're in a much better position going forward. Obviously, there's going to be some coaching question marks on what they're exactly going to do there, which I don't think we all really will know for another couple months. But as far as that roster goes, even offensively, I think it's night and day. I get like they didn't figure out quarterback. That's like, that's a death nail in this league. If you can't get a good quarterback or even just like a okay quarterback, which I don't think they really have right now, honestly, that's gonna limit you. And you're gonna put up games like this where, like, had they had some decent quarterback play, I mean, Dresser Wynn missed some horrendous. I think of that one to Daywood, where it was a like 80-yard touchdown walk in, and it just was a miss. He just completely missed them. You can't have that.
Dresser
And,
was off.
yeah.
And I would attest that to St. Louis' defensive line. They played really, really well. They kind of controlled the tempo from the first snap, and I think it rattled Wynn. It also didn't help they didn't have a ton of support on the ground. You lose Wes Hills for the whole second half. You're down to one running back, and that's an interesting storyline too. Is some of these teams that carry just two running backs active on game day, if you have one of them go down, you're literally down to just one back, and we saw that hurt Memphis this week. I still have Thorne. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this one. I still have plenty of faith in Dresser because he's put some really good things on film the last couple weeks. I just feel like he still needs time to develop. Like the Battlehawks are a good defense, one of the best defenses in this league, and you're not gonna hit them all. Like this was just a week where he was a bit down, and even then he still produced. It's just like you said, there were a couple of really bad misses on film.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation because there's a lot of like factors that we just kind of don't know going forward. The big one is expansion, right? If there's expansion, suddenly the bar for what quarterback play looks like as a starting caliber quarterback goes down because there's two more. Right now, going forward, I think Dresser Wynn's the kind of guy that you would like as a 2 or a 3 going into next year, but like I don't think he's put on enough this season to be the guy going into next season, if that makes sense. And maybe he goes out and battles for it in camp and great, he wins it. But right now he gives me kind of shades of like maybe even not like maybe even lower, but like Nolan Henderson last year, where like he showed some good things on tape and was able to make them compete against some good teams, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't quite have it. I think with Henderson, it was more of like an arm strength issue, not super dynamic. With Dresser, I think the accuracy is really killing him right now, more than like talent. But that's kind of the vibe. I would be a little bit,
and that's why I would argue that Dresser still has time to develop and still has a chance. To especially considering the fact that he's had to learn a whole new system right off the bat. Like it's been such a wacky situation in Memphis where I'm okay with some of those accuracy issues because he's not turning the ball over. Like the comment that we just saw in the chat here, which from Viking Wax Press, is if that's what his name is. Like under that kind of pressure, I'll take those dumb passes over a sack or an int. EJ would have thrown 3 picks, and I agree because we've seen EJ Perry under pressure. What does he do? He throws pick 6. He turns the ball over. At least, and this is just my opinion, I feel like Dresser's been better in those situations, and that's why Memphis has at least been more competitive in those games with Wynn. But to each their own.
So I think we have Gunner joining us right now.
We do,
or at least he's trying. I'm not sure if he's actually on or not.
Gunner, you're there with us.
Sign him up.
Well, I'm here. I am pulling my card in right now. I just got done playing 9 holes.
Nice. Sign you up.
It sounds like the proper thing to do after catching a big boy touchdown like you did this past weekend.
Yeah, well, truth be told, touchdown or not, I probably still would have been out here as long as we won and got a few days off.
Love that. Gunner, thanks for joining us today, man. How you doing? I'm assuming you're doing pretty well after a win and just getting off the golf course.
Oh, I can't complain at all. Since we played Friday to Sunday this week, we actually got a few days off. So it's been a good few days post game. You can't complain when you get off days.
No, absolutely. I'm assuming, vibes are pretty high with the team. You guys get back on track with a big win. Really down to the wire, and it's your touchdown to put them over the top. What's kind of the energy been like in the locker room these past couple days with this team following a big win?
Honestly, I don't see much of a change, really, and I think it's just kind of speaks to our culture of just expecting to win and stuff and, finding ways. Football, it's not easy to win games. So obviously you celebrate every victory, no matter how it looks. So I think really and truly our vibes are kind of back to normal. We always talk about like targets and stuff and just moving on to the next one. As cool as it was, it's dead and gone. It's not going to help us this coming week. So just kind of got to put it to bed today and then move to the next opponent.
Absolutely, and I mean, I gotta address the big play. Obviously, to score a touchdown like that as an offensive lineman, obviously such an awesome feeling, especially at the pro level. Gunnar, you played just 4 snaps in this game. Were you expecting one of them to result in a touchdown catch for yourself?
Yeah. Well, so truth be told, I was actually in on 2 of our scoring plays. I was in on another touchdown. So 50% when you're on the field and scoring is always a good time. It was
Better
something.
numbers than LeBron.
Absolutely. It was something we kind of had in the game plan. Obviously seeing when we do our heavy package of 2 offensive linemen, it's pretty easy that most teams think you're going to run it every time. So, I kind of knew we had a play in if we saw that they were going to play heavy into the run. And it just worked out that, obviously Coach Shannon and Coach Price trusted me to, down. I did not think that's how it was going to get called. But, we always say, like, the play doesn't care who makes it. So it's kind of one of those mindsets that, hey, it's my time, my number's being called. So I just got to go execute like everybody else.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about, especially in that situation where you're up by 1 point, it's down the stretch of the game, like you guys need to score. To have a play call like that at that moment, like kind of what was going through your head when you knew that might be coming to you?
Well, honestly, so we had that 2-minute warning. We had a crazy, like 8-minute drive. People don't realize we kind of watched it today. We had the ball with 10 minutes left on the clock and ran it down to the 2-minute warning, which at any time as an offense is, if you have a 8-minute drive, that's 14 plays. It's awesome. So, kind of going into the timeout, I kind of heard some of the coaches talk about the play call, and I was like, okay, well, better, why not now? So, just listen to what they had been telling me the past few weeks of what to do. And it just happened to work out that, they bet enough on the run cell that I was pretty much wide open. So it was really exactly how we drew it up.
Right on. As you can see, we got a full panel here, so I want to pass the mic over to Nick Thorne, our resident DC fan in the building today. Nick, take it away.
Yeah, just one question about the touchdown. I wanted to ask about the celly, because you had like some boy band, whatever, and I was curious about, the backstory there, the choreography, all that.
So it kind of started. So we put in the play about a week or 2 ago. So we've ran it in practice and we run it against our defense. It's worked a few times. And I kind of, when an O lineman scores, it's not really like, obviously I was the one catching the ball, but it's something like there's 7 of us that travel every week. And, when one of us scores, it's really like we all score. So I kind of left it up to the guys, and our left guard, Takeem Doss, was the one who he kind of came up with it. And so I was like, well, I'll do my little stuff. Really, the plan was for me to dunk the ball on the goalpost. Like I got okays from Coach Harris to I was like, hey, if I catch it, I'm going to dunk it. And then after the guy hit me, I decided that I was going to just try to give him the ball instead. And then we did the dance. But yeah, it was we had kind of planned it out for a few weeks that if I scored, that's what we were going to do. So
that's great. I love that. So I wanted to ask, because you had an interesting situation. Obviously, there's been a lot of coaching turnover for DC, but you lost your offensive line coach pretty early into camp, Cody Krill, and then had it replaced. I was kind of curious what what that timeline was, and kind of how do you guys respond with something like that? Because that's kind of unusual. Even I know spring football sometimes that happens, but it's not a typical thing to lose a position coach in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I mean it was hard. We lost him, I think, the second day of pads. We hadn't even put on full pads yet. We kind of lost him. So it was one of those things like, at the end of the day, it's really on the guys who go out there and play to make it happen. Coach Brazos came in, all the guys have really gelled with him. And it made our job easier when Coach Barlow had to leave. Obviously as an O-line unit, we had already kind of been through having a coach leave and stuff. And I mean, I think it just kind of shows to the characters we have in that room, let alone our entire team, that, the train doesn't stop moving. It doesn't matter who's on the train. Just, we get on a plane with 50 guys and about 15 coaches and we just go play. Everyone really trusted in Coach Braz and even Coach Harris as well, just to, keep the culture, keep the main thing, and just kind of move on. And I mean, I think we've all embraced it. Especially Coach Harris. Playing for him, giving a guy, this league's the league of opportunity. Very often, do you get to see a head coach get his opportunity in this league, and that's kind of we just all have embraced it and just rallied around him as a coach and as a person. And it just shows how our team plays.
Awesome. One thing that's kind of unique for you this season, it's a little bit more common at this level, but especially college and pros, it's a little bit less of a thing where you rotate. And Mason Brooks, the starting right tackle, was hurt early in the season, and then you guys ended up splitting reps a little bit there for a few weeks. And I'm curious, like, what's your mentality there? What's your guys' relationship in something like that? Is there a lot of communication between you two? Because it's not like you, as an offensive lineman, you can kind of get into a rhythm of playing every single snap. So how do you guys work something like that?
Well, I mean, for one, so it out of everybody on the team to rotate with, it works perfectly. That me and Mason, I've played with him for 5 years at Western Kentucky, so we came in the same recruiting class. I've known him. He was at my wedding this past summer. Like, he's one of my really close friends. So, even when we started this process, like, with Coach Keiss and them kind of reaching out to me, even asking if I wanted to play, one of the first questions was like, well, what do you think about Mason Brooks? Like, vice versa for him. So me and Mason have always been close. We live together while we're down here in Arlington. Like, we're super close. So it's always been one of those things, like even at WKU, like if I'm in, if he's not in, if he's in and I'm, whichever one, we always watch each other. So it's something out of all the people to rotate, they decided to rotate the two guys who know each other the best, which I guess, so it just kind of works out that I know I trust his eyes on the field and watching me, and same for him. He trusts me and what the feedback I'm giving him. So it's really not been as difficult as you think, is how I'd put it. Obviously, it's kind of hard, getting yourself going a drive or two into a game, but I mean, we all have jobs to do, and that was just the role that we were given. And, like I said, the train doesn't stop moving. So, you just hop on and do what you can to help the team win.
All right. My last question kind of ties into that a little bit, because right to your left is a mid-season ad in Liam Fornadell, who's been now in his third season starting for DC, has been one of the best offensive linemen in the league for the last couple years. And I'm curious what that relationship's like, and what having a right guard who knows what he's doing, knows the system by heart. How does that affect you as a tackle there?
Well, so Liam's a funny one too, because what's cool about him is him and Mike, our center, played high school ball together, had been together in DC for a long time. So, he's one of those guys that like we knew who Liam was before the season started, like I've always kind of heard of him from Mike and stuff. And then he got in, and just you can tell that he has knowledge of just the offense and how he does stuff. And O-line's a position where sometimes people do techniques differently, what is how I would put it. Like, everybody kind of has their way of doing it, like as a player. So just kind of understanding how he does it and just working with him. And I mean, it's been great. I think he's very smart football wise. I think he's a really good player, and I think it shows when we play this beside each other. He's with Mason, that he's a good player and he's a solid spot for us.
Awesome. Sweet.
I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic off to Zach. Zach, I'm sure you probably have at least a question or two for our guy Gunner here.
Oh, I like the technique discussion, because look, I haven't played your level, but I used to play line as well. I mean, my thing is, what is when your guys are getting taught up here, and this drives me nuts watching any level of football right now. I was taught you keep a shell in pass pro. Now I've seen a lot of guys that don't cover over the face. Now, are you guy that more makes sure that whoever's in front of you, I kind of pass off, I keep the shell? Or are you taught more to keep on the one guy and stick with the one guy once he comes across your face?
Well, so when you look at pass pro specifically, if you're looking at whole group pass pro, one, you got to look at, I mean, there's just, when you're game planning for a team, are they a twist team? Like, how do they generate pressure, right? And it's easier, like, I'll go back to college, for example. I played at Auburn. We played a team called Georgia. Georgia has 4 first-round picks. They're not going to twist. They're just going to try to be better players than you. And that's genuinely, like, if you watch Georgia,
He'll be
We
back.
may have lost him. Oh, he's got...
He'll be there.
Way of how they're gonna try to attack the quarterback, and then you got to look at like the big thing for us is who's your quarterback.
Mhm.
So you have certain teams that don't have mobile quarterbacks. Like if you go watch New England way back when with Brady, their pocket's going to look different than the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, all based off of who your quarterback is. So I would say our pass pro is more based off of Jordan and what Jordan likes and what he's comfortable with compared to being like, hey, we're going to do it like this, is how I'd say it. Like we tailor our passing, how our techniques to what the quarterback kind of is comfortable with.
Mhm. All right. Not bad.
I don't really have a question for you, Gunner, but I just want to make sure that you know that I'm rooting for you guys to take down St. Louis because I don't want them to have a home championship game.
Yeah, that's the big one, but we got two before that really, we everybody to us, we just call people targets. I mean, right now it's target number 8. Obviously the cool thing about this league, like obviously it's the league of opportunity, but I mean, like we're gonna go get on a plane, fly to DC with Arlington in the back of the plane, and like when you get on that plane after the game, you can pick out who won very quickly. So. There's something cool about this league I really like, and I mean, we'll see how the St. Louis game goes, but we got to handle 2 other games before we even get there. So,
Gunnar, I wanted to bring up an interesting little stat line that you may or may not be aware of, but big men touchdowns in the UFL in the Alamo Dome between San Antonio and DC has been a trend every single season so far. Last year, it was San Antonio's turn. Brad Wing, the punter, runs a fake punt, throws it to Alex Millette, who gets into the end zone. This time around, DC decides to pull it out. I was just curious, were you aware of that fact?
so me and the Alamo Dome have our own little history. So the team who plays in the Alamo Dome, UTSA, 0-3 against them, and they beat us in the conference championship in that stadium. So for me, it was more of, I get to right the ship of, my past successes. But that's what someone did tell me after the game, that San Antonio threw one last year against us. So I kind of knew, but I kind of had my own, personal vindication for
You had
going
your
and
own
playing
little
in
get back
Alamodome.
to get.
Yeah. So
And no better way to do that than score a big boy touchdown. So that's
no,
what you love to
absolutely.
see.
So
Ref, you've been awfully quiet. I don't know you've got anything to say to Gunner, and Gunner, just so you know, he's a Roughnecks fan. So if he tries to pull some BS that he's a Defenders fan, he's
nah,
not. He's not. He's a Roughnecks fan.
I'm wearing a Stallions jersey. I lose, I'm just losing bets. I'm here for the fun of it. But, I will say this. One of the things that I really love about DC is the atmosphere. And I just want to know from like a player's perspective how that comes into play. I mean, you guys got the beer snake. I would say the crowds out there are probably the closest to like a frat party of all the leagues. And I think that works to its benefit. But I'm curious, just like from a player's perspective, how does that come into play for you?
well, I think it's one of those things, like when I was first kind of deciding if I wanted to do this league or not was, and so I played at Western Kentucky and Auburn, so no shade to WKU, loved my time in WKU, but I've played in front of some crowds that were, 2,000, 3,000 people, and it's I don't look for the crowd to be the reason why I'm playing, but it helps. Like when I was at Auburn and you're in Jordan Hare and there's 90,000 people cheering for you, it makes life a little bit easier. So my first kind of experiences with Audi, like we had kind of heard some stuff about it from the guys on the team, but being in it, I mean, it's one of the louder stadiums I've played in. I think how the stadium's built, like the fans. I love the district defender. He tags me in all his videos on Instagram every Friday. Like, the fans are awesome. And I mean, how many times have you seen a bunch of empty, beer cans and just snake in a stadium? So I think it's super cool. That's one of our goals is to win every game at Audi because, like, the fans deserve it, especially the guys who come out there. Like, the district defender was in Michigan 2 weeks ago. Like, showing a guy who's getting on a plane and traveling just to come watch us play means a lot. So, the atmosphere in Audi, it's electric, and I mean, I think it's helped us, especially this year. Kind of squeeze out a few games, especially earlier in the year playing there. So.
Right on.
Jake, I'm surprised you didn't make a snarky comment about your Panthers beating him at that Ford Field game, but
No. But I do miss. That is what thing I do miss about the being a Defenders fan is that the fan base. Panthers still haven't gotten to that level yet. Like we have Mike and the stuff that he's doing with Prowler and all that, but we don't have just the whole bunch of guys that are dressing up, and I'm not going to be one of them either. But so like that, I definitely miss about being a Defenders fan. Is that fan base is probably the best, and I know I'm not saying that just to piss off St. Louis fans, though that is a benefit of saying that as well.
Mm-hmm. Not a bunch of big St. Louis guys, huh?
Who is? No, I'm just-
I can't blame you.
I can't even. Don't even get me started. That kick me off the show.
oh man. Well, does anyone else here on the panel have anything else for Gunner before we let him get back to golfing or whatever it is that he's got to do?
I think I'm stretched on that one. Yeah.
Beautiful. Gunner, we really appreciate you taking the time with us today, as always. Best of luck this weekend to Arlington. Obviously, a big game. Trying to lock up a playoff spot this weekend. So best of luck, and looking forward to seeing you out there in DC.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you for joining.
Take it easy, Gunner.
Yep. See ya.
David has a good question. Nick, why are you so giggly over there?
I'll tell you right now why. The cat. Oh, sorry. The cat in his face. You know, when you got pussy in your face like that, you just don't know what to do.
Oh.
What I was gonna say was that this is the first time we've had a Defenders guest on at least when I've been on. I think the entire time.
I think it has. It's our first.
I think this is the first time.
Well,
so,
okay. Well, wait. We've had TJ Barnes.
Oh, that's right. But I don't think I was on that episode or the 2 times he was on. I don't think I ever.
Weren't you on for the one where he had like the sword? He just pulled out the sword.
No, I
don't know
wasn't.
where.
That was before I was on.
Who's TJ Barnes?
Wow.
I'm kidding.
That's insane. Dougie's about to be in your DMs.
I'm gonna unretire again.
He's gonna pull a Jamar Smith.
Dude, I don't want to hear about unretiring. Yeah. Once
sure.
Jamar came into that game over the weekend, I said, "Oh, we're cooked. We're so done." He had that first play that didn't go grass. Okay, maybe, and then it was just steamrolled right over us. Jamar,
I think that's why I put Stallions number 1 in the power rankings, because Jamar. I think he's back.
That's really quite the.
Well,
Quite the
and they
move,
beat the
but-
Roughnecks, dude. The Roughnecks are like no joke. Did you see what they did to the Stallions in the first half this weekend? I mean,
Imagine if they
ref
could do
holding
that
on
for
to
60
his-
minutes.
19 point lead with five minutes left in the second quarter. That's going to be the banner up at TD-ECU Stadium. We had a 19-point
Almost.
champs.
second quarter champs with 5:50 to play. Might as well get into power rankings. I know Jace will be joining us at some point, but
Might as well.
Yeah, let me pull them up here. All right, let's get these bad boys up on the screen. What? There.
well, in the meantime, actually, while you're pulling it up, I got a special little shout out. I was down in Memphis this week, and I got to shout out a special Showboats fan, Brandon, who watches the show. So I just wanted to shout him out. And
UFM Brandon?
oh hell no, fuck that guy. He's not in Memphis.
Beep.
Oh yeah.
No. This kid Brandon was shouting me out from the stands. He was like, "Yo, James Larson, you're from the show, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So Brandon, I don't know if you're watching tonight or if you're watching later, but want to give you a shout out. Appreciate you introducing yourself, and thanks for being a fan, supporting the show.
Sign them up.
Nice.
It's always good to hear from fans, listeners, all that. There was even I don't know where it was, but somebody put in the chat the other day a very nice comment about our show, about being one of the better shows and one of the ones that they listen to and blah, blah, blah. I still think listen to whoever you want, listen to all the shows, but it is always nice to hear that's your favorite show.
Speaking of the shows, we will be back this week for a UFL podcast episode. It's one of those rare instances that we somehow can't find a way to make it record. It's very rare that happens. It's maybe one other time I can think of in the 103 episodes we've done. So
Yep.
just a heads up, we did not leave you all. We're back next Thursday or next Thursday afternoon or this Thursday afternoon. So
I jinxed myself because the last time that the Roughnecks lost so bad was when I missed the damn episode 101 of the UFL podcast. And then I missed this episode, and look what I did. Here I am wearing a silly jersey and not a ref shirt.
And look at you now with the prime matchup of this past week, up to 5. Could have been higher though, pal.
Yeah. Now what? I have a problem with these power rankings, and I think it's the same problem that Ducky has. How the hell is Michigan at number 1? I don't see it. I don't think it. Did you not see what the Stallions did this weekend? Again, they went up against the hottest team in the league, and they came back from a shellacking. And it just shows that the Stallions can do no wrong. I don't know. Michigan boys, tell me, because you usually are the ones that are here to tell me why Michigan sucks. And here they are, number 1 with 11 votes. I got to hear it.
Let's see what the man with the dynasty being over has to say as he comes on at the perfect time.
That's kind of crazy, huh? That's kind of crazy.
Look who's your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at it. Number 2. Have number 2 and number 1 played each other at all ever?
Yeah.
You mean like almost 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, but have they played each other
relevant.
like in a head-to-head matchup?
Oh, you and I know how power rankings work.
With Bryce as the unquestioned quarterback? No, I don't think we've ever seen that matchup.
So you can put
We played
against
Bryce.
one.
We played against Bryce before.
Yeah, he's been on the field.
Bryce didn't have a good game, if I remember correctly, against Birmingham.
The thing is, what
how
Michigan
can you when
reminds me
you're
of?
splitting
They
reps
remind
with
me.
Etling.
Michigan reminds me of the 2022 Stars. Whenever Cookus got hurt in the championship, and then the whole team just fell apart. That's Michigan. Once Bryce gets figured out, or God forbid he gets injured, but that whole entire team's falling apart. I can't put them at number 1 when they're solely relying on one guy.
Oh, you're like me, but with DC at the beginning of the year. I see a reflection in the mirror right now. This is very in the mirror for me. Hell, I shouldn't have shaved my beard.
I got no comment. I got no comment on this.
I think I don't know. You guys can see how I voted. I got Houston above Michigan because I think they're a way better put together team.
All right. I got nothing to
Ducky,
that.
you outplayed me this week with Houston at number 3. I'll tell you, I was thinking about it. But I was humbled this weekend. Now, Jace, I got to know, did you score a touchdown just to make me buy this damn jersey? Because I feel like that was part of the plan here.
I would be lying, Ref, if I said that at one point when we were down, I was like, damn, he's not going to get my jersey. But then I was like, nah, we're going to come back. Like, there's no way I'm losing this. I was like, there's no way I'm losing this. Like, I need that to happen. It was definitely thought about during a timeout, for sure.
Good. I'm glad. Well, and because of that, I put you at number 1 this weekend. You humbled me and my team. I mean, I don't know what else we could have done to beat you because we did it. And you guys came back. And this is why I will just stand on and I'll repeat it. And I said it earlier this week. Never count out the Stallions. Never count out Coach Holtz because he will fucking find a way. And if he doesn't win, he's going to get close because we all watched. You played in the damn game, but we all watched it. And I mean, I was happier than a pig in shit at halftime. I was like, whoa, is this what
hey now.
I didn't know what to do with myself. And here we are.
Yeah, no, one thing that we kept in the back of our minds, is obviously that wasn't the ideal situation or, what we drew up, but we did know that we received the ball at halftime. And I feel like that's been one of our identities over the past couple of years is how efficient we are with clock management and our 2-minute drill always. So we know anytime we have a chance to score before half, when we get the ball, it's that 8-minute grace period. And it was like, once we scored right before half, which was that was a fun play. After I scored right before the first half, we kind of gave us that momentum going in, and it was where we knew defense was going to make an adjustment to the big run that they had. They had a good scheme on that run. They pulled 2 instead of what we were expecting, and so I mean they got us. It happens. But we knew defense was going to make adjustments, and if offense, we could just try to get a rhythm that we were going to have a chance to win this game, and it worked out that way.
So I'm curious. Now we got the rankings up on the screen here. Is there anything that you disagree with? Does anything stand out? And this is for anybody here on the call. Ducky, I see you smirking. What do you got?
You guys already heard what I had to say.
Well, we know his.
So hear me out. Here's all I'm gonna say. And this is gonna be it's not even trying to be politically correct. I look at it as going off the history of the past 7 weeks of this season is that it doesn't matter what team you are, something can go wrong with injuries or whatever, and who knows how much can change. Like I'm saying this from a team we're on our 5th quarterback in 7 games. Like that's kind of insane to think about. Like think about any other team having to do this. Like that's crazy to think about. Like I would never wish that upon anybody. It's not a pity card, but it's like there's so much that can change in these next 3 weeks. I think the first 4 are good. The first 4 are good rankings. I think 1 through 4 are interchangeable. It all depends what team are we going to see week 10 or week 11. And like I said, I'm not wishing injury upon anybody. Like I said, it can happen to me, but that's just something you really do have to consider in this league, just based on the shorter training camps and how things go. Everybody's banged up right now. Like it's more competitive. It's more physical this year. Like we're literally relying on bodies at this point who can stay the healthiest, and that's going to be the biggest challenge. So that's my politically correct answer. But I agree with them.
I agree with the fact that 1 through 4 are literally interchangeable every week, just depending on how each team plays. Like there has not been one team in this league that's really set themselves apart from a standpoint of being consistent and actually dominating from week to week. It's like Michigan, obviously they squeaked by this week. They were dominant against DC 2 weeks ago, and then this past week barely gets Arlington, and that was definitely a little questionable at the end, depending on how you look at that. You guys on Birmingham's end, you've won with 5 different quarterbacks, but you've had your shortcomings this year. DC has had their shortcomings this year. St. Louis's defense is playing great, but their offense is kind of stuck in a rut. All these teams still have some major flaws that need to be sorted out.
Just a quick example I can think of is Ronnie Perkins. I felt like he was starting to become on the rise. He was really finding his groove and starting to kind of really dominate games. He has his unfortunate injury. He didn't get to play last week. You got Levante Taylor from Michigan, who I thought was starting to really have a good year. Really becoming as a leader on the defense. He gets hurt, and it's every team's having to make these adjustments week by week, and it's just who can do it better at this point. And that's why I think it's going to be a crazy. I think it's going to be a crazy 4 weeks or whatever is how much time we have left. I think it's going to be awesome.
I completely agree with that. Damn, everybody's silent.
Yeah, I'm curious. So let's just see how everybody voted here. So Ducky and I have Stallions at number 1. Everybody else has Michigan. So we'll look at number 2 here because I think we have a good healthy mix here. So and I think there's an argument to be made for all of these. I'm just curious. Let's see. Let's look at the end of this list here. I agree with Houston being above Arlington all day.
Houston's
all
better than Arlington.
Yeah. And who
you
Jake,
can't.
You should be ashamed. Thorne, you should be ashamed. Gavin.
You're gonna use your.
The Renegades have no offense. Listen, guys. Arlington. Yes, did Michigan squeak by? Yes. Arlington was gifted so many different plays, whether it was multiple defensive pass interferences, half of which were very, very questionable. Michigan fumbling the game away. Michigan put themselves in that position because they were just making stupid mistakes that I feel like they can correct moving forward. Arlington is just what is their identity? They don't have an identity anymore. Their defense is great, but the offense is just way too hit or miss.
Yeah, it's funny. Arlington kind of reverted back to their 2024 selves, making mistakes on the way to earning losses. 2 straight. Right. It's 2 games. The 2 top teams we're talking about, if we're talking these power rankings, or at least 2 of the top 3 with Michigan and DC. You're grabbing defeat out of the jaws of victory somehow.
Yeah,
that's my thing. It's it looks just like last year's team in that regard. Very, very random and unprofessional mistakes and miscues on the way to what-if scenario losses.
Right, and it's again, in a crunch time scenario, you have a face mask penalty, which gives Michigan a fresh set of downs and pushes them down the field, right? They did the same thing against Michigan last year in that loss. And then, why is Arlington calling a timeout on 3rd and 10 with 19 seconds left that allows Michigan to kind of settle in and get a good play call in, and they convert it to COC Mariner, and it sets up the game-winning score? Like, those are the types of things to me that, like, the lack of just attention to detail from Arlington, it just kills them every single season, and right now, it's trending that direction once again.
What happened to my Wi-Fi?
Well,
It's a new feature.
I just realized I was frozen.
You still are.
we're like a freaking fridge right now because the freeze is on here for between you and I.
I know. First it was Zach. Now we got you. I need it. No, I'm just kidding.
Gosh.
I'm just kidding.
David,
Is
He's
David
got
in
like
the
a,
comments.
he's got like a
black
dating
screen?
profile photo frozen on screen.
Which David comment? This one? or this one?
Oh no!
Look what you did. You scared her away with a dating profile.
And it's gone.
No,
Yeah,
look,
because of the best of us.
David, I agree that CJ is an issue in Houston, obviously, with just some of his decisions, but
Did you not see what he did to the Birmingham Stallions in the first half of that game?
I think.
Wow,
CJ's
impressive.
It's unfortunate games are 60 minutes long.
What I missed? I heard you say something about David. What did he say?
No,
No, this is a different David.
Different David?
Oh, I'm like, gee, I started sweating.
no, your
What do you
David's
mean
been pretty
he
quiet
dropped my
the last
phone
little
number?
bit. But speaking of being quiet, Jace, it didn't seem like you were too quiet, especially in that second half, just kind of chirping and doing your thing.
Man, something happened. Like that, literally that drive, we ran a play, and I was minding my business, but then, something happened. Kind of just woke me up. I was like, y'all are. I just said something about being front runners, and then we scored 2 plays later, and then in the locker room we were fired up. It was like, it's one thing to, and I get it. Like you said, they were whooping our ass, so like, you can talk how you want to talk, but it was just like it was just too much. It was they were doing a lot, and so we just felt the type of way about it at halftime. And then, like I said, you saw what happened in the second half. It was night and day. 16 yards in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, we had the ball majority of the time, but we showed the stat. We scored 6. We were 6 for 6 on our final 6 drives, and resulting in points. Like, say what you want, but like, at the end of the day, we have to play each other, and we have to play all 4 quarters. And if your team's that much better, then they're gonna win, and that's just how it's gonna be. So,
I mean,
we were fired up.
The Stallions, especially this year, have really taken a lot of pride in the defense. I mean, it's been the unit that's really carried you through a lot of the season. So, like, I can imagine, in the locker room, some of those guys were just kind of, like, pissed off, which is how they played in that first half. It was kind of uncharacteristic, just some missed assignments. Like you said, Houston kind of beating you with some of their schemes and the things that they were running. What was kind of the energy like in that locker room, especially after getting the score and kind of just, like, getting the team motivated and getting back out there?
Man, like I said, we've relied on our defense so much this year, and Coach Holtz, he said it before, like, we can't win every game 10-9. Like, offense, at some point we have to do our part, and so I feel like if anything, we were able to give our defense a little bit more confidence in the offense, just coming together as a team. Because, like, I'm telling you, there was a moment in the locker room where it's like we have to come. Like, we knew what was on the line. If we lose, then we start bringing up the tiebreakers and all the random scenarios. It was like, this is that come together moment. Like, we're either gonna do this, come back and win, and then, I'm saying, the next couple of weeks will be very interesting, or, things could be looking a lot different right now if we would have lost that game. So, like I said, it was a good win for the team. Like I said, when we were out there, that was all the motivation we needed. Like, that was the vibe in the locker room. So.
Well, and then you got a little extra motivation with Jamar turning the clock back to a few years ago and running over guys and finding ways to dance.
I thought they were I feel like we're filming like an American just family football show, like with our season, like Jamar, the legacy, like that's like a little mini Kurt Warner story at this point. I was like, this is awesome. Like, once he was coming in, I was like, there was not a doubt in my mind that he was going to help us drive down the field. Like, he knows the offense better than anybody in the stadium. So it was like,
can you kind of take me through just like some of the the emotions and just the feeling of like coming back in that moment, when Jamar's leading you guys down the field and just the hype on the sidelines?
You were just happy for him because, like I said, how hard he works, and like I said, he's he knows the system so well. Like he's put so much time into this, and so, for him to show resilience and get his moment and literally come in on 2 weeks' notice, basically, and then steps in for the biggest moment of our season, it was obviously like, yeah, it was we were so everyone's so happy for him.
I'm sorry, I cannot.
What did I say?
Not
What did I
laugh at
say,
David's
James?
comment.
David's got all the comments.
What did he say?
Can we
Oh,
ask
no.
Jace if he tells all the moms he's smashed Happy Mother's Day?
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. He wants to be funny so bad. That's just his humor.
Laughing, so.
That's his humor. I'm saying, no, he's hilarious. That's what I'm saying. That's why he's my best friend. Like, he's hilarious. And if you met him, you just be like, it all makes sense. Like, I got some I have some like hilarious, crazy David stories that we can talk about some other time.
David on notice now.
maybe UFL After Dark Championship episode or something like that.
I'm saying he's been our. I didn't even tell him that I was doing this. He just keeps up on Twitter, so it's like he's a true fan of the show. So like I said, he's
Shout
a
out
huge fan
David,
of the
man.
show.
Shout out to both
Shout out
Davids
Dave.
right now who are watching.
And David Comer as well.
Appreciate you both.
Got some great questions here.
So what do we got? I mean, we got 3 weeks left of the season. My happiness is dwindling. What do we got?
I mean, I
Jack,
think
cheer me up.
to cheer you up.
Tell me some good news.
I don't want to go back and say that you stumbled into your own trap, but you definitely did last week. So that's all I got. Yeah.
Go ahead.
My only thing is, do we see the playoffs, at least in terms of who the 4 teams are, locked up next week?
Yep.
Like, this is a preview for next week right now to me, because I think that's the biggest question. We can be talking week 9 and 10 about seeding rather than who's in, who's not, based on matchups coming up.
Well, I don't think Michigan's going to clinch this weekend because they have to take on my team.
I can't say anything can happen in any game. So I'm just like I'm sure Michigan will agree. Like, you can't take Houston lightly at all,
yeah.
or like you could easily be down 25-6 like quick.
Oh, you
like
can easily.
Well, they got Bryce
that was
Perkins,
quick.
so he can do anything.
That was quick. I did have a question. We were talking about just like how quick things can change with like one play. Thorne, what were the vibes with about 30 seconds left of the first half during your game?
It was actually the worst. Full disclosure, I was sick as well. So I'm like doubled over watching the game, and I'm watching San Antonio run it, just do everything they want to. Jashawn Corbin 50-yard rushing touchdown. I'm like, man, this is it.
It was just like a weird, like they were just making weird plays. You're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like it's one of these games.
Yeah, and it's always against San Antonio. It was last year too, that first week where you have Alex Mollett score a 40-yard touchdown, and
That's how I feel like our games with Houston. That's how I feel like our games with Houston are. Like that, it's that same matchup with us in the past. There's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, like Jordan Teamu put up probably the best half he's had in probably his career, honestly. In that second half, he just completely diced him up. Houston. San Antonio's defense has been like really
terrible
bad this year. Yeah, it's shocking because last year it was like
really, really, really
best
bad
in the league.
I feel like DC's receiver, like their skill group has stepped up. Like they look good.
Yes, for sure.
They got some dogs.
Roland's
and like, obviously been around, but all the new. I mean, everyone else besides Roland in that wide receiver room is new. I mean, obviously you have Briley Moore, the tight end, who's been in the system for a couple of years, but everyone else, Cornell Powell.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get from him. Like he's consistent. So I mean, but like it's just a different style, a little bit without Ty. But there's, like I said, they were the out and ups. Like they were, I think the receiver group has stepped up for sure.
Yeah, definitely. When I talked about a few weeks ago, Braylon Sanders, shout out, had 2 touchdowns. One got called back because a challenge, but he's been that kind of big play, Ty Scott kind of replacement since he's been hurt. So I think he's stepped up nicely. Cornell Powell looks like night and day. Like the first couple weeks, there was a lot of drops. It felt like him and Teamu just like were not on the same page at all. There was a lot of like, overthrown out routes or just whatever it was. There was just something that just they weren't connecting, and that seems to be cleaned up now. They were really efficient this week.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good. I'm still worried about the defense. They haven't looked good now for about 3 weeks or so.
Are any of their secondary, or I feel like they have a couple of pretty notable injuries on defense. When are they coming back?
I don't know, but they've been missing their top 2 safeties, which certainly is gonna hurt you. Like that's definitely part of some of the big plays have to be about that. Sam Kidd looked amazing against
he was balling. He had like 2 picks, didn't he?
Yeah, he was
Or
balling out.
He had just had an interception. Yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately got hurt. And so I don't know. James would maybe be able to speak to that more. I don't know if you know what the timeline on those guys are.
Kidd should hopefully be back soon. I mean, he was kind of he might have had a setback because I know he was expected to be back sooner than later, like a week or 2 ago. So hopefully he's back soon. Monte Nicholson, I'm not too sure on what's going on his end. I mean, he's a big loss, and
really it's Taylor Hawkins is the other one.
Yeah,
Nicholson too. I kind of forgot about him because he got hurt like really early.
He got hurt week 1.
Yeah, but the other 2
from,
aren't on
CJ
IR, so maybe. Although we're talking guys coming off injury, I feel like you need to throw it back to Jace here. You got feels like your entire quarterback room's hurt. Might be getting Magoo back. Part of why I put him at 3, full disclosure, is like I have no idea. Like it could be one of 4 guys potentially who's your starting quarterback this week. I don't even know if you're St. Louis, how you game plan for that. That seems like a nightmare for their game. It's like who is it?
Pros and cons, I guess, for sure. No, pros and cons on for sure. Yeah, this is like I've never been a part of anything like this. Like it's one of those things that it really is next man up mentality. But I think it's cool just to see everybody it's resiliency in the quarterback room. Like these guys, they really are waiting for their opportunity, and it's like, well, they're finally getting their opportunity now, and it's like they're just going out there and making the most of it. So I mean, it's been different to be around for sure. And it's like obviously when it comes to building chemistry, you're like not ideal, but like you said, here we are. We're 5-2, got a chance, to get in the playoffs, and see what can happen.
I'd say you have a little bit more than just a chance of getting in the playoffs. A lot of things have to go wrong for you guys to miss out. It's
that's
settled.
something. And that's speaking of that topic. As soon as we're done off live, I have a couple of questions, but I can't. My ego won't let me talk about it on here, knowing that other people could see it. But it's definitely about Michigan, and it's about the rankings. I just want to talk about some certain things.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
we'll
gotcha.
address that when the time comes.
Yeah, and it's not even strictly about Michigan. It's just I just don't want to no, I'm not talking about it out loud.
Okay,
No way.
that's cool.
No bulletin board material on the.
That's all right.
Yeah, because it's like I view our team the same way. So it's like I'm not going to talk about my team either. Like
Yeah.
That's completely valid.
Yeah, no. It's just realistically how I see the whole league.
I'm curious to get some of your guys' thoughts on St. Louis. They're obviously 5-2. They're winning games. They're leaning into the defense, which is something that a lot of these teams are doing this year. The offense the last couple of weeks has really been underwhelming. I thought that they took a big step forward against Michigan a couple weeks ago. It felt like Duggan was kind of finding his groove, and he wasn't throwing the heck out of the football, but he's using his legs. He was kind of getting into a rhythm. They're just kind of stuck in a rut, and they're not playing terrible offensively. They're just kind of You know what I mean? I'm not seeing an offense that's necessarily capable of winning a championship if one of these other teams starts clicking both offensively and defensively. Now, they're a team that can win the championship because every single team in the UFL doesn't really play complete football, right? We haven't seen really any team play a fully complete game outside of maybe Michigan week 6 against DC. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but when it comes to playing complete game across the board, all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams, there hasn't really been a team this year to actually put that together on film.
Yeah, I think when it comes to St. Louis, right now, I think it's a complete Max Duggan question, which I think, I was thinking about this earlier when I was coming on, that the irony is with all the hubbub, man, wouldn't they love to have AJ McCarron right now? Like a really like calm demeanor, like hey, maybe he doesn't have the upside
I don't know about calm
mobility-wise.
demeanor, but
Well, on the field, like knows what he's doing, knows the offense inside and out.
Okay.
That kind of
Knows
deal.
how to complain to refs.
Yeah. Um, well, I was just thinking because right now I feel like Duggan still has a little bit of like he's raw, like he just doesn't have.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah,
He's
and like
what?
there's a little bit about
Risky?
like I think there's some erratic accuracy. I'm
Risky.
trying to fight through it right now, guys. Please, and so I think the accuracy's been kind of erratic. Obviously he's that kind of bulldozer type running style. He's just gonna run guys over, which is also kind of concerning because then there's a chance that maybe you're seeing Brandon Silvers, here in the next couple weeks if he keeps doing that. He literally said on a hot mic that he's like, I can't keep doing this to myself. But that's always been him, and I feel like if he takes that away, it's gonna hurt his game too, because that's just what makes like that's why back to those TCU days, like that's what makes him him. But all in all, like if Duggan can figure out and play like he did against Michigan, going down the stretch, yeah, I think they can do it. They can get the thing done. But until I see that, I just don't trust them.
I'm not laughing at you, Nick. I swear to God. David just texted me.
Jace, what are you giggling
Promise
at
I'm
now?
not laughing.
David.
It's okay.
Yeah,
That's
he said but he said that what did he say on a hot mic? We were in the
So-
it was the last game.
Yeah, last game he like scraped his elbow like really badly, and you could tell like it was like I can't keep doing this to myself. Like it was something like I'm not really quoting it, but like in that line where he was like clearly like, hey, I keep trying to run over DBs. And like I don't know if you were watching like that TCU K-State game a few years ago, the championship game. Like that last drive was just him doing that like 6 plays in a row, and they scored and gave him a chance to win. That's always been his deal. Like he just does not slide, he just he's like a between the tackles runner, kind of it's funny because like Manny Wilkins is like the complete opposite, despite them both being very like similar. Like hey, they're great runners, have some issues passing the ball. Like they're very different in how they approach the run game, I feel like.
Manny's much smoother and like has some swagger and like is chill with it, for lack of a better term. Where like where Max is just very raw and just kind of throws his body on the line, and yeah, like we'll see. I mean, St. Louis's strength is that they can run the ball, but if you can't pass it, I don't know how they're gonna get past one of these teams at the end. But we'll see.
Also Sailors hasn't really been the like dynamic. I haven't really looked too closely into it, so I can't like say like is it the offensive line, is it him, whatever. But that's something I've noticed over the last couple of weeks is like, man, they really haven't gotten those big plays from him. The run game hasn't been as effective as it was. Like the first couple of weeks, it was like, man, they can just run the ball on anybody.
It's a bit of a reps numbers game too. Like he hasn't been getting a ton of reps. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we'll see how it shakes out these final few weeks. Luckily for St. Louis, Arlington sucks, so they're in a decent spot.
Later in the as the season goes on, that's where it's all about who can make adjustments throughout the year, because the good teams are going to adapt. And
yeah,
like I said, we're playing good teams every week, and so I feel like the league, we're naturally having to adjust. So I think they'll figure. Trust me, we're worried about. We're making sure we're focused on Sailors.
Yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the the rematch this year after last season. It was obviously a very competitive, heated match, down to the wire. Anthony Beck yelling slants, and kind of pissed off about that on the sidelines. Like, definitely expecting some good sound bites from this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a great opportunity. It'll be cool to actually play in the stadium as opposed to last year when we played there and it was in a no home crowd for real. So this will be fun to experience for the first time. And like I said, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, Jace, when's the last time that you played in an environment quite like that? Like, I know San Antonio was decently loud when you were there, but like, there's nothing, at least on the UFL's level, there's nothing quite like St. Louis.
Yeah, no, I think maybe the most we played for, maybe the championship in a Canton. I don't know. I feel like our Breakers semifinal game, that was actually a really good crowd.
Well, I mean, like,
That
I'm talking more like an opposing crowd, where like, you have to actually deal with the crowd noise.
You're allowed to say DC.
Yeah,
No.
maybe DC. That was the best crowd. I mean, if we're being realistic, like can't you can't say Memphis and Houston right now. Like we're not. That's
What do
not
you
as.
mean? There's the roaring fans a couple weeks ago in Houston.
Roaring fan.
Yeah, I think DC. I think that was an awesome atmosphere. So I can be fun to play there consistently when they're cheering for you.
Yeah, I can see that.
Whatever.
I can see it too.
Well, I don't know. Do we have anything else this week? That might be about it. It might be a nice short episode. I know we got 3 weeks left of the season, so it's probably next week. It might be a little celebratory depending on what my Roughnecks do. So, well, we'll see. Celebratory depending on which side you're on. I
said,
suppose.
vibe could
Someone will.
greatly change depending on certain results. So that's what I'm looking at right now. But yeah, you never know what can happen.
Right
You
on.
might want to put that Bryce Perkins jersey in the shopping cart right
Yep.
now.
I don't want to talk about buying jerseys anymore. Any final thoughts from anyone else before we head off into the sunset?
He's out.
Jace didn't.
Yeah, you know what? He said what I was thinking. All right. So you know
Okay,
what? Here's what. Oh, go on.
No, he's
Houston
not.
can be
He's back.
eliminated next week, right? If I'm not saying
Both
it will
Houston
happen,
and
can they?
If we lose,
Okay.
and
They're
then
done.
yeah,
And Michigan
That's it.
and Birmingham can't be eliminated next week, right? Even with losses.
No.
Right.
Birmingham.
No?
You
Michigan?
mean
No,
like
no, no.
clinched?
No, I mean they're Like,
Ducky, what the hell are you
the
talking about?
playoffs could be.
I'm just trying to make. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm like,
thinking
what
in my
the hell
head
are you
next-
talking about, Ducky?
No, shut up. I'm like, no, like I'm
I've only
questioning
been like
myself.
tweeting
like,
it
they
every single
can't.
damn day.
No,
Like
they can't.
they can't, right? Like if anything bad happens, like no matter what happens, they can't be.
No,
eliminated.
Treading
Michigan
lightly.
and Birmingham can get eliminated week 10, but that's the soonest they
Ducky
can,
fraud
the
watch
end of the
alert.
season.
Holy crap.
So,
dude,
I
I'm
was
just
say, I was like, dude, I thought we're technically
Alright.
like in first
So,
place. Like, how can we get
let's-
eliminated this week?
So to
well, that's why I
reiterate,
was double checking. Like if anything stupid could happen.
you got
Right, like
I hope
Dean
not.
Blandino comes in and takes away 2 wins after
I mean,
saying,
it just
hey, they ran
depends.
5 plays.
It depends. You never know.
I mean, Dean and Mike do
Never
whatever they
know.
want. They could.
Hey, we're
Me
one
and-
phone
me and
call
me-
away from
Listen,
any super challenges in the fourth quarter have been revoked.
just last week or last set of games, I thought games ended at 0-0-0. I didn't realize they could add other plays after that. So really, anything can happen at this point.
this is why I didn't say anything because I knew exactly that there was something behind
This is why I said I
Ohio
can't say it on
State.
live. I'm not talking about this live.
Well, I think that's some time for points. Then let's do some points here.
That was a setup.
Jace, I'm going to give you some extra points. Just one, you join us every week. 2, I mean, you humbled me. We're going to give you 20 points.
He
for
scored a
that.
touchdown on your head.
Yeah. I don't want to remember any of that. Real quick, my wife, I was watching. She's like, "Oh, you're happy? They must be winning." I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Do you think they're gonna win?" I said, "I don't think so." It was like the meme of like, "Are you winning, son?" at the end of the game, and she just opened the door. I said, "No, we're not. No, don't talk to me."
That's terrible.
All right, James. Just because you're a traveling man, you're all over the place. I'm gonna give you 18 points. We're gonna keep this interesting, so that brings you up to 168.
I'm losing all mine because I know that we're not going to get a million on a Friday.
Well, Ducky, you're ahead right now. You're at 171. And even James with his points, he's only at 168. How many am I gonna give you? Let's maybe make this interesting. I'm gonna give you 19 points. That brings you up to 190. So you're building You're getting some distance here. You can lose some points, but you can't lose 69 yet. Ducky, you're going to have to get entertaining in the last 3 weeks. I'll tell you that much. So, Zachy boy, you know what? You hosted for me last week. You did a good job. Nothing broke. I'm going to give you 20 points for that.
Wow. All right.
5. Thorn, you're shaming me with that damn jersey hung up in the background. So I don't know. It makes me almost want to dock you points. But you came with some good questions today. So you know what? I'm going to give you 21 points. That brings you up to 101. Jake, just because you're fighting for your life here, I'm going to give you 22 points. Well, you're getting some wins. Next week, I'm going to give you some points actually too, because next week I think I'm going to beat you. So I'm going to give you 22. That brings you up to a hundo. So now we're not.
Give him one extra point just
There we
after
go.
the clock fact.
There
you
we
know.
go. 101. 101. Is there anyone I'm missing here? Did I give myself points?
I think you did.
Well, I need some pity points then.
I think you might need minus 19 points for blowing a 19
No, he
point
paid up.
lead, but-
You paid up for the bet. You paid
See, I'm a
up.
man of my word. That's some extra points. You know what? I'm only gonna give myself 15 points.
Go ahead and give it 19. The
Just give
You know.
yourself 19.
Oh,
You might as well.
There we go.
Just like Jake's saying, good call.
There we go. I'll take it. So I think that's it, folks. Thanks everybody for joining.
Wait.
Monday.
KJ said he deserves 100 because he was one of the only 7 Roughnecks fans in Birmingham yesterday.
You know what? We'll put you on
Wow.
there. KJ, 100 points, 100
A new
fan
contender
points,
is into the
fan
arena.
points in the house. You know what? You got 3 weeks to get some interesting comments on the screen, buddy. But you could win this.
More
We'll
comments
see.
you put about Jace smashing Mother's Days or something, whatever.
so
might get some.
Oh my God!
All right,
That's
it's time
how
to
you
end
know
the
it's
show. I'm
Monday.
too unhinged, guys.
That's how
Sorry,
you
I
know.
just leave.
James, no sleep James. I like it. It's Dark James. We need more of this on the show. But here's what everybody needs to do. Hey, if you're not following, you're not subscribing, you know what to do. Click the bell. It builds morale. Subscribe. It lets you know when we go live every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern for this little show around the UFL. It lets you know when new videos drop that aren't even live, like the UFL podcast, like Summer Stock, the road to the UFL championship, which I'm sure we'll have some more details on this week with the new show. Around the UFL, all the handles, you know what to do. Like the thing. Until next time, sign you up. Who sucks this week, Ducky?
St. Louis, always.
There we go. Sign them up. Oh, not leave studio. We want to stop the show. There we go. I almost